Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming here and being part of these classes happening. Especially thank you to Bindaji. I hope that we always remember that these classes take time and care and personal realization to be created for all the rest of us to benefit from. And so I say thank you, Bindaji, on behalf of everyone here. Bindaji, thank you very much.
Thank you, Atmisha. Namaste and Hari Om to all of you. The 45th session of Taittareeya Upanishad. We are almost coming to the end of the 8th Anuvaka of the mantra here. And 8th Anuvaka of Taittareeya Upanishad, chapter number 2. And we have one more Anuvaka, 9th Anuvaka of the second chapter to be concluded. And thereafter it is Bhriguvalli, a third section between a dialogue between a father and the son, which is mainly used for upasana. But there also, it is not the upasana with a devotional nature, but with what you call more of a nididhyasana helpful thing. So we will see to that when it comes to the third chapter. So let me start with the invocations. Om नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः श्रुतिस्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयम् करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करम् लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करम् शङ्कराचार्यम् केशवम् बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Shanti Mantram or the peace invocation of chapter number 2. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So in the last two classes, mainly, we were discussing about the knowledge aspect, knowledge and ignorance, vidya, vidya. Even the knowledge about Atman or Brahman is mental, as there is no way we can objectify Atman or Brahman. I am talking Atman, Brahman not as two separate, but as one and the same. Therefore, if at all we are expecting Atma-jnana, it all means is that the knowledge arising in our mind, which is free from the ajnana samshaya viparya, that is the doubt, the ignorance, doubt and the misconceptions or wrong conceptions. When these, the terms like Atma-jnana, we get into a imagination that like knowing about the sun, the moon, the trees or any other object, there is this object called Atman, and we will be knowing that Atman all through the knowledge. And we will have an experience of like how knowing the fire or water or sun or the moon. We will also have the experience of that Atman. This is what it was negated by Acharya Shankara in his commentary. Just four or five lines. Vidya vidyo tad dharma meti chet na pratyakshatvad. Just one word there. Viveka avivekau rupadivat pratyakshanupalabhyate andakaranastau. That is the first statement. It is a knowledge in the mind. Nahi rupasya pratyakshasya sado drishta dharmatva. So, like the drishta dharmatvam of pratyaksha, like the visibly or the whatever is available for our instruments of knowledge, like eyes, ears, etc., the Atma, that is, doesn't have a dharma through which drishta dharmatvam, like the pratyasha has got drishta dharmatvam, that way, no way we can know the Atma. Avidyacha sa anubhavena rupyate modoham aviviktam mama vijnanam iti. Our ignorance is known to us. This ignorance, when it is being known, we do not need to depend upon anybody else to tell that we have the ignorance. Here also, a subtle thing which I forgot to explain, but which you should all understand is that there also, when we are saying that we have ignorance of X, Y, Z, what we are talking about is that we have no detailed information about X, Y, Z or the dharma, what is called the description of the ignorant object. We, by hearing that, do you know a bird called dodo? Let us say. Now, the bird dodo is an extinct bird. So nobody could have seen it recently, nor we would have heard about or anything about it. So when the moment we hear the word bird dodo, we have come to the knowledge that dodo is a name, it is a bird, and we don't have the description about the bird. So the ignorance which we are talking about is the description about the bird called dodo. Suppose the moment you heard the bird dodo, the knowledge that dodo is a bird is born in the mind, and that nobody need to tell you that you know the dodo is a bird. That knowledge aspect we have grasped. But what we talk about the ignorance is the description or the details of that. Same way, when we say Atman or Brahman, the moment we hear about Atman and Brahman and all the Upanishads which we have studied, we know a fair amount of details about Atman or Brahman. But since we are always looking for an objective way of understanding things, we are expecting that there will be an objective experience about Atman. And this expectation in us that there will be an objective experience about Atman or Brahman is not happening. In spite of learning all the 7 Upanishads before, and the 8th one is almost getting and the 9th one is almost getting concluded, we are still expecting that Atmajnana or the knowledge about Atman will happen similar to an experience of any other object. This Atman also will be known to us. The reason why we are driven to this is that the Upanishadic statements itself, Yet Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma, and Tattvamasi Shvetaketo or Tattvamasi, when we hear it, that if I am that, I should be knowing myself, right? These type of that words, when we heard it, we have not understood the real intention of the Upanishadic statements. Therefore, we have created a viparya or a wrong impression about that knowledge, that it is also an experience which I will know. See, here is the word I will know, in spite of having known Atman and Brahman as a word. That I will know is the expectation of a event happening where we will experience like any other experience happening, something happening within us. This expectation of Atmajnana or the knowledge of Atman is the reason why lot of people are still confused and misguided by the statements. And this gives them still, after having all heard everything, should I not do japa? Should I not do tapa? Should I not do meditation? All these questions are coming from out of this ignorance. That is why, if the ignorance and doubt and viparya or the wrong impression about the intent of the Upanishad, when these are all gone, then only we will know really what Upanishad is talking about and what is the jnanam. And such a person who has no doubt on that, no ignorance about what the intent of the Upanishad is there, and he has no expectation, he is called a vidwan or a jnani. And then, when he is convinced about it, he knows what are the pitfalls or where each of the students or the other people are stuck with. And he will be in a position to help them out, guide them through or wade them through the samshaya viparya, so that they come to an understanding what is it all about. That is why the Guru Shishya Parampara is continuing. And to know that, what is the role where the teacher can help is not to make the individual know about Atman or Brahman as the fire, sun, the moon, etc. But to realize that what he is that, and the knower can never be an object to be known. But everything that is being known is in the light of that knowledge, which is his swarupa or svabhava. That is his own nature. This we studied in the Kena Upanishad. Yet manasana manute yenahur manomadam. What the mind doesn't understand, but with which the mind is able to understand or know. Tadeva brahmatvam viddhi. Know that as Brahman. Netam itidam upasate. Not the one which you have now understood as Brahman. That is why that statement in the Kena Upanishad is similar where the teacher is teaching that. So we have to understand that it is in the light of or in the knowledge of our own nature. It is our nature to know. We are using an instrument called mind in the waking. We are using a different set of mind in the dream to know the subject, object and knowing experience of it. But when we are all to ourselves, there is no subject-object bifurcation. Ekatvam anupashyata. We are away all by ourselves. In that all pervading ourselves, everything being us. There is no everything there, only one thing is there. that being us yourself, how will we know something other than us? Because there is nothing other than us in that state. Na anyat vijanati. Nothing can be known as anyat, as separate from us. So this is why it is not possible by mind to know Atma Jnana. Atma Jnana can be known, but Atma cannot be known. All knowledge about Atma can be made. That is Anandam, Nanda Prajnam, Na Bhi Prajnam, Na Veda Prajnam, Na Prajnanaganam, Apchintyam, Avyaktam, Ananda Rupam, Shivam, Prashantam, Amritam, Brahma Yonim, or Achintyam, Avyaharam, Ekatma Pratyasaram, Prapanchovashamam, Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, Chaturtam, Manyande, Sa Atma, Sa Vitneyaha. All those things, mantras of, Upanishads will be knowledge, but Sa Atma, Sa Vitneyaha, that should be known as it is not a knowable, but it is by which everything is known, which we studied in the Mundaga Upanishad. Yat jnatva sarvamidam vijnadam bhavati. Knowing which everything else becomes known. Knowing which everything becomes known means in the knowledge of which I will come to know that everything is known in the knowledge or in the light of that. That is, na chantra suryo bhadi na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agni tameva bandam anubadi sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vipati. That Kathopanishad mantra. And it was repeated again also later. So, na tattar suryo bhadini chandragam. Neither the sun can illumine that, nor the moon can be illumined that. Nema vidyudo bhanti kutoyam agni. Neither can there be the lightning or what to talk about the fire, which can burn, and show everything. Tameva bandam anubadi sarvam. Your light is the first. That light is the first. Anubadi sarvam. In the light of that, everything else become lit. Tasya vasa sarvam idam vibhati. In the light of that light alone, everything else becomes known. That is the waker, the waking world, the dreamer and the dream world, and the absence of the waker and the dreamer also. Tasya vasa sarvam idam vibhati. It is in that light we are coming to know that we have Jagrat Swapna Sushupti also. It is that in which we are knowing, not through the mind is an instrument. It is just like through the eyes I am knowing to see, I am able to see everything visual. But eyes is not the one which is seeing. We all know that. Even something passes in front of us, if our eyes are open, still we may miss this item which is passing in front of us. If the knowledge is not shining on the mind to capture the visual inputs from the eye. So, all these things are showing that Atma cannot be known as an object, but Atma Jnana or Brahma Jnana is what the Upanishad is teaching us so that we will come to a very clear-cut, crystal clear understanding that Atma and Brahman both are same. There is no way we can know it because we are that. We can know about ourselves the nature of Atman or Brahman. That is why Tameva Bandam Anubadi Sarvam. So everything becomes lit only when I am lit. I am lightening everything or I am illumining everything. That illumining nature of consciousness or awareness of mind is in which I am experiencing the waker and the dreamer. This is what I will know about myself, but I cannot, the light doesn't need another light to know that it is light. Or the sun doesn't need another sun or a lantern or a matchstick to show whether this is sun. It is the nature that it is with which everything is lit. So that way, tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. In that light of consciousness awareness is how the whole world is coming to be experienced. Na paramartado vidyamane. That is the final statement. If all these things are not remaining separate from Atman or Brahman, in the light of Atman and Brahman, they are appearing to be there. The example is the dream. The dream world objects and the dreamer is na vidyamane paramartada. It is in reality, it is not existing. But when Atman is enlightening the mind of the dreamer, light through the mind, the dreamer comes up, the dreaming world comes up, the dreaming takes place, everything is happening. It is exactly the same when that light of Atman or Brahman, when projected through the mind as a waker, the waking world and the waking experience. In the light of that, we experience our waking. And when both the waking and the dream is not there, we are there, yet there is nothing to light, but we know that we existed or we didn't have any experience. That experience of what is anirvachaniya. We cannot explain it. Therefore, we say, I knew nothing. Because it is indescribable, that state of deep sleep. Not from the waker's point of view, but from the deep sleep, the one who is in deep sleep. He cannot explain where he was or what he was. There is a chapter in Taittareeya Upanishad which we will be studying, Ajatashatru and Balaki. Ajatashatru is a king, Balaki is a Brahmana priest who came thinking that he knew everything and he came to teach Ajatashatru about Atman or Brahman. And it turned out to be the other way around. Ajatashatru knew about Atman or Brahman because his forefathers were Brahmatjnanis and he has also acquired it. And then he takes to Balaki to one of his soldier who is in deep sleep. And there is a dialogue between the king and the priest on the deep sleep state. It's a chapter by itself. We will study that when it comes to Taittareeya Upanishad. That time, the analysis of deep sleep is the only subject in that particular chapter. So having come to this one, we have a little portion of the 8th section which is left out there about upasankramanam. Edam anandamayam atmanam upasankramati. It starts with Edam annamayam atmanam upasankramati, Edam manomayam atmanam upasankramati, Edam vijnanamayam atmanam upasankramati, Edam anandamayam atmanam upasankramati, tadapyesha shloko bhavati. Like that it is the 8th Anuvaka is ending. So abede edam anandamayam atmanam upasankramati idi karma kartrutva anubhapatti iti chet is the question which is now the opponent, having understood that the knowledge is Atman is andastha, means it is an act of the andakarana or the mind, and it can never be known as an object. Now he is asking the question, what is this upasankramanam? The word upasankramanam in Sanskrit means moving from one point to another point. Like a worm, when it is moving, it is lifting its frontal portion up and stretching it and keeping it a place and then dragging its hind portion and moving forward. Like this movement is upasankramanam, actually speaking. Even a spider when it is moving, its forward legs are stretched and it holds a different place, and then he lifts its body and the hind limbs and moves forward. This movement in this way, particular way, it is neither the pole vault, nor the high jump, nor running, nor walking. But, from the Annamaya to Manomaya, that means something from Annamaya is accessing the Manomaya and then leaving the Annamayam. Then now he is in the Manomaya. Then he is moving from Manomaya to Vijnanamaya something, and then he is leaving the Manomaya and he will be 100% in Vijnanamaya. Like that. The word is Jalukadivat. Jaluka means worm. So, this is what is Upasankramanam. So the question is, Karma Kartrutva Anuvavati. That is, if you are saying that there is only one, and there it cannot be known, everything Atma, the waking, the dream, everything is one, then there is this statement that Annamayam Atmanam Upasangramati to Anandamayam Atmanam Upasangramati, from Annamaya to Anandamaya. That means from the food sheath to the bliss sheath. There is a movement which is mentioned in the thing. If there is only one and only one, Atma, then Karma Kartrutva Anubhavati, that is the subject and object being one, this Upasankramanam cannot happen. Iti chet, there is a question which is being asked by the opponent. If Atma is only one, then Annamaya is Atma, Manomaya is Atma, Vijnanamaya is Atma, Anandamaya is Atma. How can there be a Upasankramanam or movement like a point to point? For this, Acharya is writing, saying that, it is not Upasankramanam, there is no Anuvapatti. It means wrong knowledge. Vijnana matratvat sankramanasya. Here sankramanam should be taken as Vijnana matram. It is quite a tricky way how Acharya Shankara has arrived at this meaning, for a meaning which is never there in the dictionary. In the dictionary, Upasankramanam has got the point-to-point movement and other meanings which are there in the dictionary. But nowhere the word Vijnanam, knowledge, is mentioned. So, the question, we will wait for the answer for that, because only when we listen to the dialogue between Shankara and the opponent, we will know how Shankara is establishing the statement of Vijnana Matram, as how did he arrive that a non-dictionary meaning or a word meaning which is not even used in the common parlance. Forget about dictionary. Dictionary, it is not there. But at least some usages in the, in the dialects or in other common language, if it is being used, it can be referred as an example. Even that is not there. Then what brain did Shankara use to arrive at the word that Sankramanam here means Vijnana Matram? He is explaining. Na Jalukadivat Sankramanam iha upadishyate. Na Jalukadivat. He is refuting the dictionary meaning. Like a worm, Sankramanam, we are moving from point to point, iha na upadishyate. It is not that is what is being advised here. Then the opponent is asking, Kim tarhi? Then what? Vijnana matram sankramanam shrutehe artaha. The meaning intended by the Upanishad, Shruti here, Sankramanam is equal to Vijnana matram, is as purely Vijnana means the pure knowledge in the sense of knowing. Nanu mukhyameva sankramanam shruyate upsankramati iti chet. So, nanu mukhyameva sankramanam shruyate. The main meaning is upasankramanam, sankramanam shruyate. Atratu here upasankramati iti chet. The word is now used as upasankramati, for which he says na. Annamaye adarsanat. Because in the Annamayam atmanam upasankramati. Listen to the word. Annamayam atmanam upasankramati. Evam anandamayam atmanam upasankramati. Evam manomayam atmanam upasankramati. Every word it is the same way it is being used. Adarsanat. This word adarsanat here has got the reason why Shankara could tell that it is only Vijnana matram. Annamaye adarsanat Shrutehe artaha sankramanam ityukte Vijnana matram. That is what is to be understood. That is, in the absence of Atma in the Annamayam, Upasankramati means moving. If you take that, you cannot see a movement in Annamaya. In the Annamaya, Atma is, we knew that Akasha to Annamaya, how it has come, and Annamaya to Anandamaya also we have seen how the thing. But everywhere we knew that it is Atma alone which has become the Annamaya. Therefore, Sankramanam is Adarshanam in Annamaya. Sankramanam means the movement in the Annamaya is not there. Because it is not leaving Annamaya to go to anywhere else. In the Annamaya itself is Atmanam Upasankramati. Evam Annamayam Atmanam Upasankramati is the word. So in the Annamaya itself, Atmanam Upasankramati means Atmanam Vijyanati. That is the meaning it will come. How can it have any other meaning? Because Upasankramanam na darshayati in Annamaya. That is, the movement in the Annamaya cannot be, of Atma cannot be seen in the Annamaya. Atmanam Upasankramati. So, what did it mean that when the Annamaya is known as Atma, because Annad Bhavanti Bhutani is the previous statement. From the Anna is the creation of the bhutas or the animals and the birds and everything. Therefore, the food sheath is the one which is becoming the Deha. We studied this in detail. I don't want to repeat it here. And that we said that it is not different from Atma. Now, let us look at this way. There is the body of the dreamer world, the dreamer objects, including animals, birds, and everything in the dream world. Everything has come from where? From the same knowledge which is now shining as the dreamer mind is the reason why everything is projected. So, the Upasankramati is not a movement in the mind or in the dreamer's body or in the dreamer's world. it is filled with that only. It is in that light everything is happening. Therefore, it is knowing or the knowledge that it is Atman which has become the Annamaya is what is being told by the Upanishad here. So when the Evam Annamayam Atmanam Upasankramati, the statement should be understood that it is the way in which Annamaya has to be known as Atma. Nahi Annamayam Upasankramataha Brahmat Asmat Lokat Jalukat Sankaramanan Drishyate na Anyatha va. So that Brahma Asmat Lokat Jalukavat. Brahman or Atman, like a worm, is not moving from Annamaya or moving in within Annamaya also. Anyathava, in the other way, means from Annamaya to Manomaya, etc. also. Manomayasya bahir nigatya, bahir nirgadasya, Vijnanamayasya va punaha pratyavritya atma sankramanam iti chet. So here he is bringing the Vaisheshika or Nyaya Vaisheshika system of knowledge, where it says that Atma, this is not Advaita Atma. Their Atma is different. Atma is a Dravya there. For them, Atma is a matter. Like the mind is a matter, Atma is a matter, like Prithvi, up, Tejo, Vayu, everything like that, fire, water, everything like that. Even Atma and Mana also are Dravyas or the matter. That is what it is being referred to here in this question. That is, Manomayasya Bahir Nirgadasya Vijnanamayasya va Punaha Pratyavritya Atma Sankranama Nidhi Chet. The Atma through the eyes, through the holes of the eyes, goes to the object and occupies the object, and then it reverses back into the Vijnanamaya. Therefore, in the Vijnanamaya, the knowledge of the object comes. This is the theory of the Nyaya Vaisheshika. That is, Atma is traveling through the eyes. Atma, as a Dravya, is flowing through the eyes, through the space, goes to the object, occupies the space, and returns back through the same space and through the eyes again, and goes into the Vijnanamaya Kosha. If it is not there, though there is a Sankramanam there, like a worm going, the Atma is going to the object and knowing the object and coming back. No. The answers given by Shankaracharya is no. Swatmani Kriya Virodhat. This is the reason why it is being refuted. Swatmani, in oneself, an action cannot happen. That is, I can't stand on my own shoulders. Same way, in the subject cannot be working on an object where he himself is the object. So he becomes the subject and object. For example, the subject Rama is going to a village where the village becomes the object into which he is entering. Now he, Annamaya, is entering Annamaya itself. How can it happen? So Atmani, same way Manomaya entering Manomaya. So here the state means Evam Annamayam Atmanam Upasankramati. So that is why Swatmani Kriya Virodad. Anyaha Annamaya Anyam Upasankramati iti Prakritya Manomaye Vijnanamayo. Atvisha, you have to mute. So Anya Swatmini Virodat. Anya Annamayam Anyam Upasankramati iti Prakritya Manomayaha Vijnanamayaha Va Swatmana Eva Upasankramati iti Virodaha Syat. So this is what is said. Annamayam Atmanam Upasankramati. If it's the statement that what happens is that this Swatmani Kriya Virada will happen. Tada na Anandamayasya Atma Sankramanam Upapadyate. Anandamayasya cannot have a Upasankramanam to Atman separately. Tasmat na Praptihi Sankramanam. So therefore he is saying that Sankramanam means moving from one place to another or attaining something, some other place or attaining something else. That is not, is what the word Upasankramanam here be. Napi Annamayadinam Anyatamam Kartragam Parisheshyad Annamayadyanandamayandam Annamayadi Anandamayandam Avyatirektam Kartagam Jnanamatram cha Upasankramanam Upapadyate. Napi, even that, the one which I explained in the beginning, from Annamaya to Manomaya, Manomaya to Vijnanamaya, Vijnanamaya to Anandamaya, like that movement is also na Upapadyate. It is not possible. Jnanamatratvecha Anandamayandastastaiseva Sarvandarasya Agashadi Annamayandam Karyam Srishtva Anupravishtasya Hridaya Guhabi Sambandad Annamayadishu Anatmasu Atma Vibhramaha Sankarmana Atma Vivega Vijnana Upapatya Vinashyati. So what he is saying that Jnana Matratve, when we accept that it is a knowledge, what is he referring to? Cha Anandamayandastai eva Sarvandarasya Anandamayandas Sarvandarasya, but it is also Andaryami or pervading in Annamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, etc. Akashadi Annamayandam. So then that Tasmat Etasmat Atmana Akasha Sambuddha, that is how the first start it started. So we know that Akashadi Annamayandam, starting from the Akasha till the end of Annamaya, Karyam Srishtva, having created the entities like Akasha up to Annamaya, Anupravishta, Tat Trishtva Tadeva Anupravishat. We heard that. Having created, it entered itself. What does that mean here? Hridaya Guha Sandad Annamayadishu Anatmasu Atma Vibhramaha. That is Atma Vibhramaha. Means confusion as Atma, that I am the body. Anatmasu, which is not Atma, is Annamaya, is seen as not Atma, but we have a delusion that we are the body, physical body. That in the Hridaya Guha, in the Vijnana, in the mind, where the knowledge is taking place by the teaching, we knew that where the Vijnana and Vidya and Avidya is taking place. So that is here called as Hridaya Guha Abhisamdhanat. So having known in the Hridaya Guha or in the Vijnana Maya Kosha, Sankarmana Atma Viveka Vijnana. Sankramana means this Vijnanam or this knowledge. What is that knowledge? Atma Viveka.
utpatya, by creating or by generating that Atma is coming by that knowledge. What happens? Vibhrama, Atma Vibhramaha vinashyati. By the knowledge, what this does is that it removes our delusion that we are the physical body, we are the mental body, we are the intellectual body, we are the Anandamaya body, bliss sheath, etc. All these independent body sheets which we identified earlier, where we have identification. When I am physical, I am in the Annamaya. When I am in the thought process, I am in the Manomaya. When I am in the logical and thinking, I am in the Vijnanamaya. When I am enjoying and happiness and sorrow, I am in the Anandamaya. All those things are Anatma, Anatmani, in the Anatma or in the non-Atma, Atma Vibhrama, that we are thinking that we are the self in that. That gets destroyed when the knowledge comes. That is why when it said evam anandamayam annamayam atmanam upsamkaamati, evam vijnanamayam, all these things are only to generate knowledge so that our identification with each of these entities which the mind, body, mind complex, what we talk about, that identification, vinashyati, is destroyed when the knowledge comes. So this right knowledge of Atman eliminates and destroys our wrong identification, which is called the viparya, or wrong knowledge, that we are the physical body, we are the mental body, we are the etc. That is being destroyed by the knowledge. Tadedasmin vidya vibhrama nashe sankramana shabdaha upacharyate. Therefore, asmin avidya vibhrama nashe. Avidya vibhrama means avidya krita vibhrama. The confusion or the delusion generated due to the non-apprehension and resulting in misapprehension that I am the physical body, the mental body, etc. Sankramana shabdaha upacharyate. Therefore, the knowledge as sankramanam is the most suited one. Nahi anyata sarvagadasya atmanaha sankramanam upapadyate. Not any physical movement of Atma in the physical body or the mental body or the intellectual body, etc. Vastuandara abhavascha. There is no vastu different from Atma. Therefore, here is a very important thing which you should not miss, which is to be understood as the intended meaning. The word vastuandara abhavacha. That word is so critical and crucial here, which may seem to be opposing the statement earlier, where it is a anatmasu atma vibhrama. So is it annamaya etc. anatma? When we do not know it as atma, we think it as anatma, and then we have an identification. But at the same time, the identification is not permanent. Therefore, it is anatma. So the only place where we can have a atma, that I am the self, or I am there without any identification or any relationship with anything else, vastuantara bhava, where there is no other material is there, is in the deep sleep. There I am there, but I do not know anything else except myself. But when I come to waking, I know my physical body, I know my mental sin, I know my intellectual, I know my happiness or bliss level. All these things are known. But at the same time, I am also able to detach from them at my own will. When I am the thinker, I am not the emoting one. When I am intelligent on any one of them, I can even detach from my physical body. Or when I am in the absolute happiness, or when I am in a happiness, I even forget where I am. The body's consciousness is also lost sometimes. So therefore, if I can be and without it, then I cannot call it as Atma. Atma should be that I am that, and I should be always in that. Then only I can say I am that. Temporarily I am feeling that I am that. That is not what I am. Like my association with a vehicle, and when I am driving a vehicle, I associate myself to the vehicle, I maneuver the vehicle according to the size of the vehicle. So there is a Atmatvam or feeling of self to the size of the vehicle. Whether it's a captain of an aircraft or whether it's a rider of a two-wheeler. Doesn't matter. The size of the vehicle is immaterial. But the driver or the rider associates the size of the vehicle to his own size. That is why he is able to maneuver it correctly without making any damage. But at the same time, we can park the car or the scooter or the two-wheeler and get down, and then we are not associated with that. Same way, I am disassociating with myself from the waker life, the waker body, the waking world and the waking experiences. When I am in the dream world, I am leaving the dream world and going to the waking world. The dream world is not, I am not the dreamer. So these are all temporary associations. Therefore, it is anatma. That is why when the word vastuandara abhavacha, when it is used by Acharya, Shankara here, he is saying that there is nothing apart from Atman. Yet, we choose our association according to our requirement. Therefore, it cannot be Atma in reality. That is why it is called appearance, or it is called mithya, or it is called maya. These words are used because of this very reason. If it had been me, I should have been present all the time with the Annamaya. The waker mind and the waker body or the waker intellect, everything should be, I cannot be away from that. But I am getting out of that at my own will and fancy. When I am not interested in them, I am going to my dream world. And the dream world, I think I am the dreamer, I am the dream world, I am the dream experience, everything. I do not know even what happened to my waking body and the waker and the waking world. I have got a total world to enjoy and existing. So what happens when I come back to the waking also, even in waking, when I am given a morphine or association with chloroform or anything, I do not even know my physical existence. But I cannot say that I died. Because when the effect of the medicine, effect of the anesthesia goes, I am coming back to myself. I am associating with my physical body, my mental body, my Vijnanamaya, or even the Anandamaya. I was not knowing anything, just like I was in deep sleep. But even in the waking, when I am not even given a chloroform or anything, my association with the physical body, I am ready to abandon it when I am in a dream world in the waking, daydreaming. I am not knowing my physical body. So all this shows that what we think as real of the waking world, the waking body, waking experience or everything is only a delusion. Therefore, we say that avidya kritatvad. It is a creation of the ignorance because we do not know who we are. Therefore, we associate with the body when we need it. We also associate with the mind when we are emotional and feeling and everything. When we are in the logic and thinking, we think we are intellectual. And when we are enjoying happiness or sorrow, we think we are in the Anandamaya Kosha. These are the effect of avidya kritatvad. And therefore, Vastvandaram, Vastav. In reality, there is no difference in Vastvandaram because they are all nothing but illusions. Just as dream is an illusion, this waking is also illusion. We call it as mithya just for this purpose because the logic is very clear. I am not that very shows that when I am not in that, that doesn't exist. When I am in the mental sheath, the way physical sheath doesn't exist. When I am in the intellectual sheath, I am in mental sheath and the food sheath is not there. So these are the reasons why Advaiti is saying that waking is also a delusion due to wrong association with the physical body or the mental body or the intellectual body or the ego. Nacha swatmana eva sankarmanam. In the Atma, you don't need a knowledge to know Atma. You don't need any word there to know. Nava yeto vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha is the first statement which we will analyze in the next section, in the 9th segment. That is what is hinted here. Nacha swatmana eva sankramanam. That knowledge is not possible in the swatmana, in the Atma. There is 2-3 sentences. Let me finish it and conclude this one. Slightly extend it. Okay. Nahi jaluka atmanam eva sankramati. The worm also doesn't climb on itself. Tasmat satyam jnanam anandam brahma iti yatokta lakshana atma pratipatyathartam eva bahubhavana sarga pravesha rasalabha abhaya sankramanam adi parikalpyate brahmani sarva vyavahara vishaye natu paramartato nirvikalpe brahmani kaschitapi vikalpaha utpapadyate. Slightly long sentence. Tasmat, therefore, satyajnanam anandam brahma iti. Even though we studied satyajnanam anandam as Brahma's nature or the way in which it is to be entered, yatha ukta lakshana atma pratipatti. Yatha ukta lakshana means as above mentioned lakshanas or the qualities or the adjectives of Atma, pratipatti means knowledge. Artham eva is pratipatyartham eva. To know that alone is bahubhavana sarga pravesha rasa. That is bahubhavana sarga pravesha. That is as if Atma has entered in the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Annamaya, Manomaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. That is the Bahubhavana Sarga Pravesha. Rasalabha. And the end of it, it is at Anandamaya Atmana Bhugasankramati. So where the Rasalabha, Rasovai Saha, that was the one which we studied in this 7th one. So that bliss is the one which has been mentioned, that Sankaramana Adi Parikalpyate. This pervading nature of Atma has been Parikalpana. It is a imagination in the sheaths like Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, etc. Brahmani Sarva Vyavahara Vishaye. In the Brahman, it is only Brahman, everything there, Brahman or Atman. Sarva Vyavahara Vishaye. All these Vyavahara or the details of the Vyavahara, Parikalpyate, is imagined for the purpose of association to be known as out of ignorance. Therefore, the word Sankramanam should be understood as a knowledge which will help us to remove our identification with it. So when it says evam annamayam atmanu upasangramati means Atma is not separate from Anandam, Annamaya. Atma is not separate from Pranamaya. Atma is not separate from Vijnanamaya. Like that, all the Parikalpana where we thought that is pervading is not real, but they are all nothing but Atma alone, which has become appearing to be the Annamaya, Pranamaya, etc. Natu Paramartado Nirvikalpe Brahmani Kaschitavi Vikalpaha Upavadyate. In the pure Brahman, which is in the deep sleep, where there is no Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, none of them are Natu Paramartadaha. In the reality, absolute, where is Paramartha? Advaidam Paramartada. We studied this in the Mandukya. That state of non-duality is only there in the deep sleep. Atra Nirvikalpe Brahmani. That is the Nirvikalpa Brahman state. Kaschitavi Vikalpa Upavadyate. Even an iota of Vikalpa means confusion or delusion. Upavadyate means you can imagine there. Tamedam nirvikalpam atmanam evam kramana upasankramya viditva sarvasya eva asya prakaranasya anandavalyartha sya sankshepathah prakashanaya esha mantro bhavati. So this mantra, the eighth mantra, is for what? Tamedam nirvikalpam atmanam. In this form, the nirvikalpam atmanam, atma which is nirvikalpa in nature, evam kramana upasangramya, in this orderly manner, understanding that, upasangramya means having viditva, having understood that, sarvasya eva asya prakaranasya ananda valyarthasya sankshepathah prakashanaya esham mandro bhavati. Sarvasya eva, everything to be understood as asya prakaranasya ananda valyartha. Ananda valli, this Brahmananda valli, is that from the starting from the beginning of the second chapter to the end of the ninth section, is sum total is only for the purpose of knowledge. Prakashanaya esho mandro bhavati. This mantra is only for the knowledge aspect of what is Atman or Brahman. Brahma vidapnoti param is how it started. And it is ended that evam vijnanamayam atmanam upasangramari egam manomaya anandamayam atmanam upasangramari tadapyesha shloko bhavati. This is the way in which we have this mantra has to be understood. We'll go to the 9th Anuvaka in Friday's class. I'm stopping here. We'll take on question answers now. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavada.
Thank you very much, Bendaji. Really good to really linger at the end of chapter 2 as we have been. And I think that what you did today, very, very clear. I have to wonder what would have happened to me if I had had someone speak so clearly to me 20 years ago. So thank you very much. The hand raising is open. The chat is open. The purpose of this Q&A right now would be to ask about today's class, especially points that we might not be clear on. Also, if we have any remaining doubts or questions from earlier classes on this Upanishad. And if anyone's new, just to remind you that we do have classes Wednesday and Friday at 8:30 p.m. IST, but there is a general open Advaita discussion to benefit with Bindaji on Sundays at that time if you have more wide-ranging questions. So is there anyone who would like to come up and speak so we could all benefit? Venkat, I'm really happy to see you.
Namaste, Venkat.
Namaste, Hariom Binduji. Binduji, this has been very elaborate. I'm trying to put I'm just recognizing this understanding, correcting it with your help now. So this Viveka Rupadivat Pratyaksha Upalabdhate Antakaranastav. That means both ignorance and knowledge are seen. That's as an object.
As seen in the mind.
As seen in the mind, these two are seen. Now, that knowing principle knows both. Now we extended that into the upsamkaamati in a different way that I will have a follow-up question there. Now, can you classify now Ajnana, Vijnana, Pragnana in this context? I'm trying to share this in a way. Pragnana is the knowing principle. Ajnana is ignorance in the mind. Vijnana is also like a knowledge of scriptures, all that, still in the mind. So, go ahead.
Here, if the question is on Prajnana, Vijnana and Ajnana in this context is the absence of knowledge about Prajnana. Okay. And Vijnana is the Shastra Jnana, or what the Upanishad and the Shruti Smriti Purana, that what is being educating us, which is happening in our mind, intellect. I am taking both together, mind and intellect together, for the purpose of removing the Ajnana, so that what is left will be only Prajnana. Prajnanam Brahma. That you should not forget. Is it clear now?
It's clear, Madhuji. Now, that means Prajnana replaces whatever is left in the mind.
There is only Prajnana.
That's it.
When Ajnana came, the Ajnana removal was done by Vijnana, in the sense that it is also a mental faculty where the Ajnana is sitting. That is why I remember having said that, you can put off the fire only where there is a fire. So the Vijnana came to destroy the Ajnana. Ajnana is in the form of Ajnana Samshaya Viparya. That is the three forms of it. All the three are being removed by the presence of Vijnana in the mind. But that Vijnana is not about Prajnana. That Vijnana is for removing the Ajnana, and the Prajnana shines by itself.
Perfect, Banerjee. So, since I'm a computer engineer, I'm putting this in a perspective. So, your computer is affected by virus. So, virus, we can put it as, ignorance or ajnana. It is destroying the equipment. Now, you put an antivirus that will take away the virus. The point is that the signature, antivirus, it removes that, bad part of the code and replaces with a signature. Basically, it overrides what was there. It becomes a defunct code sitting still in the computer. So is the antivirus is still sitting in the computer only. It doesn't go away, but it's simply there. But the job is done. It will nullify the effect of virus while induced into it. That means the Vijnana got rid of Agnana, and they simply stay as signature and let the the whole equipment function.
Okay. Let me explain to you in your own language. Okay. The virus, the malicious virus has come and overwritten the signature on the programs and the operating system. Your operating system became corrupted with the virus. When you do the antivirus, which is Vijnana, it is now coming to the operating system and rewriting the program or removing the bad codes inserted by the virus. But both the program and the virus program and the antivirus program, all of them are in the operating condition. But none of them have power to touch or rewrite the BIOS. The BIOS remains as BIOS only. And if the BIOS is not functioning, you have to replace the whole computer. Is it clear?
That's clear, Balaji. So this is, I think, well positioned. Let this, the foundation, the principle operates. Let the principle operate. Leave it at
Right.
that, right, Balaji? Pragnanam is a principle that shine forth. Now we'll extend that into that Sankramana now. This Sankramana is not that Vijnana Matratvat Sankramanasya. That means it is to be taken as
Vijnana.
it understood as the Vijnana. That means the knowledge.
Yes.
Now I'm going to invert it now. Because of Vijnana, rest are projected.
Not through Vijnana. Not Vijnana has projected everything. It is Ajnana which is the cause for avidya kalpitavad. The kalpana has come due to avidya. The imagination is happening or the delusion is happening due to avidya. And that avidya is what is now the Sankramana which is being referred to. Each level it is referred that when I am saying neti, I am saying Annamaya, I am neti. Manomaya, neti. Pranamaya, neti. Vijnanamaya, neti. Like that, when I am saying, I am doing the Sankramana of my association thinking I am the Annamaya, I am the Pranamaya, I am the Vijnanamaya, etc. When that is being removed, that what is left out is that I come to know that Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya is there. It's really not there. It was being experienced as myself when I was not knowing this thing. When I knew about my reality, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, all of them became mere appearances like the dream appearing, which is the waking also becomes an appearance. So a jnani doesn't give a reality to the experiences of the world. He sees them, he is operating in them because the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya is real to others for his purpose. From his point of view, even his Annamaya is a appearance or a delusion of the mind or in the individuality, and then operations are done because of that. There is no volition from the individual. Appearance taking place and happening like the dream happening, the waking is also happening. That's all.
So Binduji, the misapprehension is due to the ignorance.
Right.
And right apprehension, as an appearance. So right apprehension is due to Vijnana only.
what is right apprehension showing?
So,
What is the right? What is the job? What is the job of the right apprehension?
it will help you to, it will help you to understand this appearance, hence further clarity in understanding and not giving reality. Okay, so that's the right knowledge. That's Vijnana. It will allow that right understanding, hence not giving reality, etc., will happen as a result of it.
It is not exactly like that. It is that Vijnana will do that is remove all delusions to identification of the waker and the dreamer. The dreamer we are able to do in the waking, but waker we are not able to do in the waking. For that, in the waking, we need a solution. That is where the Vijnana or the Sankramana which is being referred, each of the sheath is being given as Sankramana, upsamkaamati. That means you are going to de-identify yourself from each of the sheaths of the 5 sheaths which is mentioned in that line. Therefore, any identification, once that is known that I am not the Annamaya, I am not the Pranamaya, I am not the Vijnanamaya, I am not the Anandamaya, etc. Doesn't have to show that I am now Atma. When these are all being said, I am not that, I am not that, but all this is from Atma alone. Because Annamayat, Akashat, Annamayandan, Tat Trishtua Tadevanu Pravishat has been told by the Smriti. That means the Atman created the waker and became the waker, waking objects, waking everything, and the Vijnana will now replace that I am a separate individual and the world is separate from me, that aham idam bhava. That knowledge of I am the separate individual with my body, mind and intellect, and the world is separate from me, that is getting replaced, that even the I of the waker and the world of the waking and the experiences of the world, everything is that Atma which is projecting and becoming them as a waker and the waking world. So there is no waker separate and the waking world separate when you are from Atma point of view. But if you do not identify yourself as Atma, the waker becomes the individual and the world becomes separate for me as an object for enjoyment. The knowledge, what is that the individuality or the ego or the identification of the individual with the 5 sheaths, that is 5 sheaths put together is the individuality or the ego. That is an illusion, is what is being educated by the Vijnana or Upasangramana. And once that is there, then even if he is seeing that the individual experience and the world, he knows that it is nothing but everything is a projection of Atman or Brahman. He doesn't say my projection, that I and my has gone. It is Atma projection or Atma or Brahman itself. That is why he says Sarvam Khaluidaman. That is why Sarvatma Bhava or Ahameva Sarvam. All the statements comes Etra Nanya Pasyanyet Shrunudi, that statement. Everything is coming from that knowledge. That knowledge has to become, even without an iota of doubt, then only that knowledge will shine. Even if it is technical, theoretical and practically understood, it has to become an experience in the mind itself. Nowhere else it can happen. The mind, when it is divided of the Ajnana Samshaya Viparya, is the only time when you will be able to see that Atma is me, Atma is everything in this world. Sarvam Atma. That Sarvatma Bhava can shine only when it is 100% without doubt imagination and ignorance. That is what the Vijnana does.
Perfect, Benjaji. I think you put it in a great perspective. All I'm classifying that is all this, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahmam, Sarvatma Bhava. All this, I put it in the class of operating knowledge.
Yes.
And leave it there. There are no frills about it. No frills about it. And that's about it, Vinodji. Because if you can't analyze, for example, that word is used, right? Annamaye Adarshanat. By itself is, without the power of Atman, is useless. So then the Sankramana is not a, cause effect at that level at all. So that is totally negated here. Okay, Binduji. I think this cleared up, Binduji. Thank you, Binduji.
Yeah. It will become more clear in Friday's class, Venkat, because Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha is the first statement. So when that is being explained, I have to bring connection to this Annamayadi and Atma at that time, and even that Bhaya, Pratishta, all those statements will come in the Friday's class onwards. So it will become clearer why it is that at the mind level, even now, there will be a iota of doubt. How can I see Atman, Brahman as everything? That Sarvatma, how is it possible? That still not very clear from these statements which we are. But on Friday's class onwards, it will become clearer.
Sure, Binduji. I think the Kriya went in last weekend. Maybe there is a perspective. I thought I'll share it if it allows a minute.
Yes. Go ahead.
So it is like, if you have indigestion or, all that, you can put a purgative and get rid of it. Or, I've seen the animals when they have the stomach issue, they vomit what the bad food they're taken. This is at a body level. At the mind level, what we, contemplate is from a conscious part of the mind, and subconscious, is hidden inside. So if you apply the same principle of, vomiting that out, what is way inside you, that deep-seated fears, deep-seated, bondages, identifications, etc., gone deep in. Because we're coming into the path with a no chitta shuddhi, that clear mind, both levels. It will cause that it takes time. Basically, the continued contemplation is advised in Gnana, path of Gnana, repeated Nidya. But how do you accelerate? So I went into this path of mental vomit. Okay. So it brings out, accelerated way of, all the deep-seated fears that were hidden inside, bondages, etc., etc. All that will be vomited. So it's an alternate path, but there is a correlation. So I thought I'll just bring it up. It is deep inside, Binduji.
Yes. That is why we do not know when we became ignorant. Even though we are all Atman Brahman, there is nothing outside Atman Brahman. But how did we become ignorant? The moment we started using the mind and expressing through the mind, that is required both in the waking and the dream, we became ignorant. So the problem is that mind is being used for waking and dream. Therefore, we feel that we are separate. In reality, we are not separate. Even right this moment, all of us are one and the same. There is no all in all of us. There is only one. Yet, we feel that. So that mind has to be emptied. That is why the Amani Bhava is being sold. Or what you said, vomiting all the fears and hidden things from the mind. Whatever method you take it, After all, it is the mind where the problem lies. And that the mind is, the Upanishad also says, in the mind alone you can know Brahman. Not the way in which we know Brahman as an object. When the mind becomes pure, the Atman will shine in the Brahman, and tad netam iditam upasate, which I told you, no? Yad manasana manute yenahur manomatam, tadeva brahmattam vidhi netam iditam upasate. That Kenopanishad mantra. The mind, manayeva karanam manushyanam, bandha mokshayo. For both bondage and liberation, there is only one instrument, and that is mind. The mind is the one which is now into bondage and thinking we are individuals and limited. It is the same mind which will liberate you, saying that you are no more the individual. That is what your association with the body-mind complex. And when you are out of that, you will realize that you have never been bound. It is not that you you became bonded and now you are liberated. No. You will know that Nitya Mukta Swabhavaha, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhavaha is our eternal, free and happiness or fearlessness. Happiness or fearlessness both being the same as our true nature. Thank you, Venkat.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you, Venkat, for, being so genuine and uninhibited and coming up and displaying for all of us what a true student you are. And just being able to listen is extremely beneficial. I just want to appreciate you so much. I appreciate many of the other people who come up and who don't come up as well. But today was a really good display that's a lesson for all of us in how we can take an opportunity with the teacher. It's time for us to close, so hand raising's off. But remember, there'll be a Q&A after the Friday class as well, as usual. If you had something for today, but no one else raised their hand, and then Sunday we can talk more. Is there anything else? Is there anything you needed or wanted to add, Prakash, before we ask Bindo to close us out? And again, Bindoji, thank you so much. It's just a beautiful privilege we all have to be here together. Prakash?
Yes, heartfelt thanks to Bindoji again, for probing deep into that space where we still have some doubt or conceptual error, these two things. And removing those two will remove the fear too. So, as Bindoji mentioned. So again, heartfelt thanks. And thanks for everyone to have participated, in the audience. And Venkatji, especially you, because you come up to ask these very intriguing and probing questions. And as recommended by Venkatji this time, he said, it's a deep-seated thing that you have to work on. So Sravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana is something that we can all participate in by listening to the replays, or as I pasted in the chat, the Advaita Retold channel is there. So again, thank you, Bindoji. Over to you.
Thank you, Atmisha. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Venkat, Prasad. We'll continue our talks on Friday, the last segment in chapter 2. And then we can go slightly faster after that. So see you all on Friday. Thank you for coming. Hari Om. Namaste. Good night.
Hari Om.